Welcome to the art of tracking expenses, a vital step in financial empowerment. With tools like budgeting apps such as Mint and YNAB, customizable spreadsheets, or even traditional journals, you can gain control over your finances. Regularly reviewing bank statements and seeking professional advice can further enhance your financial awareness. Why track expenses? It's about understanding spending habits, setting realistic financial goals, identifying potential problems, and building a robust budget. It's not just about numbers. It's about aligning your spending with your values and goals. From automatic categorization with budgeting apps to personalized strategies with professional assistance, tracking expenses offers control, goal alignment, and financial security. Whether you're looking to reduce debt, invest wisely, or simply live within your means, these tools and techniques are your gateway to financial success. Remember, tracking expenses is more than a task. It's a pathway to financial awareness, control, and empowerment. Embrace it and take charge of your financial future. So budgeting, sometimes referred to as the B word. A lot of people don't like the word budgeting. It's something that we've seen really evolve from, like we've seen budgeting tools that have gone from paper to digital. Jen, I want you to start us off. In your experience, what are key features to look for in a budgeting app?
So it comes down to what your goals are. So if you're just starting out, then inputting your transactions manually can be really valuable because it can make you more aware of what you're spending money on. It can make you more aware of your habitual spending and what's triggering it. So in that case, you might want to use something that doesn't automatically import your transactions, or maybe even a Google spreadsheet. If you've been budgeting for a long time and you're pretty aware of what you're spending on, what you value, what you want to be saying yes to and saying no to, then you can use things like YNAB or Mint, things that automatically put in your transactions. You might also want to look at how it categorizes. So some budgets look at past expenses while some focus on future spending. So, and you can usually customize every app to be somewhere where you want it to. But some, like YNAB, is very specific. You really have to budget in the way they tell you to. It's not as customizable. So I think getting a hold of how you want to budget, who you want to budget with, and what your goals are for controlling your spending would be things to look at when choosing a budgeting software.
Yeah, I think that it varies for everybody. There are those who like paper, there are those who like spreadsheets, there are those who like apps. In my household, I always love the idea that less work that means more. Like I don't want to have to categorize and do things manually. But my wife made the point that she feels like it's it's easier for us to track when we're actually writing it down or typing it into a spreadsheet manually. So I think you have to do what works best for you. Dr. Cherry, since you're the CFP among us, how often should one review their bank statements for effective financial awareness?
Wow. Excuse me, like Jen said, really becoming one with your statements. If you are, it depends on where you are, life stage or where you are in your journey. Because if you are more developed, more, further along, then you may not have to check your bank statements every month. It could be quarterly. Semi-annually is too much. I mean, too little, but I would say monthly at least. However, I think what Jim was talking about too was like if you are having behaviors or decisions, or you're simply not feeling good about where your money direction. I always say that your money should work concurrently. That's where the name of the firm went. But if your life is going this way and your money is going this way, and you're not feeling good about it, then it's time to really check that bank statement weekly, so you can identify what's not aligning, what's not feeling good, and so you can improve. So weekly, if you're really in the beginning, monthly, quarterly, if you're more developed than your stage.
Yeah, that's huge because especially when markets are down, you hear stories of so many people, they don't even want to open their statements and just leave it in the envelope. So,
well, I would say, let me just wait for investments. Yes. If the markets are down in a month, just let them ride, in the short term. But we're talking about our budget statements, more frequent.
Good point. Rocky, on that idea of like psychology or the psychological impact of tracking one's expenses, do you have any thoughts on that subject?
So I think it depends on the person. You've got to do what works for you. But I just want to say something because I bet you a lot of you agree. Budgets are like diets, they suck. Like people don't want to deal with that. I prefer to think about cash flow. Where is my cash flowing? And if I looked at where my cash was flowing, would I be happy with it? At the end of the day, the reason you're coming up with this money plan is so you can build wealth. Well, I think it's just a lot easier if you automate your savings up front and then whatever pot of money is left, you live within that pot of money. And so it's more of a constraint is forcing yourself to spend a little bit less and then asking yourself, am I happy with how I spent my money?
Well, that's a great point, Rocky, because those who don't like the word budget or find it too intimidating or it just feels too big a task to face, tracking is, I think, the magic. That's where the magic is because it's a much easier ask of yourself and maybe of your partner. Like, let's just track our money for a month because most people know how much they make. Too many people don't know where their money is going every month. So if you just track where it's going, food, housing, transportation, entertainment, and healthcare, if you do that for a month and you do that for a second month, you can't help but see some trends and start making improvements. Felicia, with your husband, like, how does budgeting work together? And has tracking expenses led to any financial breakthroughs?
You know what? I'm probably the wrong person for that question because I am the habitual budgeter in this relationship. And we have gotten into this flow where I actually do kind of manage all of the money and I give him a report. I know it sounds really weird, but he is not the one that is living on Mint. Shout out to Mint. I'm a 20-year user now. Love Mint. And I also budget. I used to do the tracking like you were talking about with post-its. I would have all these colorful post-its on the wall of what's coming in, what's going out, what debt needs to go away. So I love tracking money. I know I'm a little weird that way. But when it has come to the tracking of the finances, he kind of has a general idea of what's going on, but I am the one who kind of does all of the, did you spend $5 on Amazon? Exactly what did you buy? And it's not as crazy as it sounds, but I do check our money every week just to make sure I know what's going on. Investments and stuff, I kind of like leave that alone until I'm like 65 or something. But I keep up with everything, and we do have constant communication of what's going on with the money. So I'm the one who's in it hands-on. He does know what's happening, and we kind of just talk back and forth with what's going on with the finances.
Well, it's great to know your strengths. And if you like doing the tracking, that's super helpful to the partnership. What does the reporting look like? Is it very informal and casual where you ask him, what did you buy on Amazon for $5? Or do you sit down periodically?
Does he need to submit an expense report?
Yeah.
Jen.
Yeah.
So the way
Yeah,
it
right.
goes in the family is basically it's kind of how we manage money. The house owns all of the money. We do adult allowance, so everybody gets the same pot of money each month to go and do whatever you want with. So when it comes to, like, when we have the talks about money, if there's something big going on, yeah, we sit down and talk about that pretty quickly. But when it's something very general, usually at the end of the month, I'm just making sure, Netflix didn't try to overcharge us, because they do sometimes. And I just go in if I see these phantom, expenses, like $100 on Amazon, or it's like, well, what is this and where did it come from? Sometimes I just want to know so I can categorize, because like I said, I'm a 20-year Mint user. I love categorizing things. And it just keeps up with everything. And at the end of the month, I just give an overview of, here's how much money we have in savings, here's how much we spent. We need to cut back on eating out because we spent $1,000. Maybe we shouldn't do that next month. So we do that kind of talking.
That's great. Let's move on to segment 2. We're going to talk about values.